Chosen ones, you are not here by accident. You incarnated into this world with a purpose so powerful that it makes others uneasy. From the moment you entered this realm, the atmosphere shifted. The spiritual realm recognized your presence, and so did the forces of darkness. You carry within you a light so profound that it disrupts everything that seeks to hide in the shadows. People may misunderstand you, fear you, or even reject you, but this is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of your impact. Your existence alone is a divine statement that justice is here, and balance must be restored. This isn't just a calling, it's part of your very essence. In the Bible, God repeatedly chose individuals to carry out his justice. Consider David, a shepherd boy, called to defeat Goliath and eventually lead a nation. His courage wasn't just natural, it was divine. Like David, you've been chosen to stand in the gap, to challenge injustice, and to shine a light on truth. But this path isn't easy. It comes with resistance, isolation, and moments of doubt. Yet through it all, your calling remains firm. You are here to deliver justice, not just in the physical realm, but in the spiritual as well. As we journey through this series, you'll discover why people fear you, how to channel your divine authority, and how to navigate the opposition that comes with being chosen. Stay with me, because this is just the beginning. Have you ever noticed how some people act strangely around you? Perhaps they avoid eye contact, grow defensive, or even become hostile for no apparent reason. This reaction isn't about what you've done, it's about who you are. Your presence carries a spiritual weight that unsettles those who are not aligned with truth. People fear what they cannot understand, and as a chosen one, you operate on a frequency they can't easily grasp. This fear isn't always conscious. Sometimes it manifests as discomfort or jealousy. Your light exposes their insecurities, their hidden motives, and the things they'd rather keep buried. This isn't new. Throughout history, God's chosen have faced fear and opposition. Think of Joseph and his brothers. Joseph's dreams weren't just prophetic. They revealed a divine destiny that made his brothers uneasy. Their fear of his potential led them to sell him into slavery. Yet, even in the darkest circumstances, Joseph's calling couldn't be extinguished. You too carry a presence that challenges the status quo. It's not about being confrontational. It's about standing firm in your truth. When you walk into a room, spiritual forces react. Those who harbor darkness may try to undermine you, but their actions are ultimately powerless against your divine mission. The fear people feel isn't about you. It's about what you represent. You remind them of accountability, justice, and the fact that no one can hide from the truth forever. This is why your role is so critical. You are a vessel of divine justice, and your mere presence shifts the atmosphere. In the next chapter, we'll explore how justice isn't just something you do. It's woven into the fabric of your spiritual DNA. Justice isn't just a part of what you do. It's embedded in who you are. As a chosen one, you were created with a deep sensitivity to right and wrong, a divine compass that pulls you toward truth and fairness. This innate sense of justice often sets you apart, making you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world's imbalances. That's because, in many ways, you are. God has placed this calling within you for a reason. In Isaiah 1:17, we are commanded to seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. This isn't just an instruction, it's a reflection of God's own heart. His nature is rooted in justice, and as his chosen vessel, you mirror that divine attribute. This justice, however, doesn't always manifest in grand, visible actions. It often starts in the small, unseen battles, calling out dishonesty, standing up for the voiceless, or simply refusing to conform to a corrupt system. These moments may seem minor, but they ripple out into the spiritual realm, where the fight for justice is constant. Your spiritual DNA also equips you with discernment. You can see through facades, sense hidden motives, and recognize truth even when it's obscured. This ability can be both a blessing and a burden, as it often places you in direct conflict with those who benefit from injustice. People may call you intense or accuse you of being overly critical, but this is simply the result of carrying a divine mandate. This divine justice is also tied to your ability to forgive. Justice doesn't mean vengeance, it means restoration. Yeshua's example shows us that true justice is rooted in love. When he confronted the Pharisees, it wasn't out of spite, but to expose hypocrisy and lead them to repentance. You too are called to deliver justice with grace, knowing that your actions reflect God's higher purpose. The next chapter will dive deeper into Yeshua's example and how his fearless approach to injustice serves as a model for your own journey. Yeshua was the ultimate example of justice in action. His mission wasn't just to save souls, but to challenge systems of oppression, hypocrisy, and spiritual blindness. Everywhere he went, he disrupted the status quo, not with violence, but with truth and unwavering conviction. As a chosen one, you are called to follow in his footsteps, embodying fearless justice in a world desperate for it. One of Yeshua's boldest acts of justice occurred when he cleared the temple of money changers. He overturned tables, declaring, "My house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers." Matthew 21:13. This wasn't an impulsive outburst. It was a calculated act of righteous indignation, rooted in his desire to restore holiness and integrity. In your own life, there will be moments when you are called to confront corruption and hypocrisy. These situations may feel intimidating, but remember that Yeshua never acted alone. His authority came from his alignment with the Father, and yours does too. When you stand up for justice, you are not standing alone. You are backed by heaven itself. Yeshua also demonstrated justice through compassion. He defended the woman caught in adultery, not by condoning her sin, but by exposing the hypocrisy of her accusers. Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. John 8:7. This moment revealed the heart of true justice, not condemnation, but restoration. As a chosen one, your role is to bring light and redemption, not to tear others down. However, Yeshua's pursuit of justice wasn't without cost. His actions drew opposition from religious leaders, who eventually plotted his crucifixion. Being a vessel of justice often means enduring misunderstanding, rejection, and even persecution. Yet, Yeshua's ultimate sacrifice reminds us that justice is worth the cost because it aligns us with God's eternal purpose. As you reflect on Yeshua's example, consider how you can apply his fearless approach to injustice in your own life. In the next chapter, we'll explore how your light naturally exposes the darkness around you, creating waves in both the physical and spiritual realms. As a chosen one, you carry a divine light that cannot be hidden. This light is not just a source of guidance and inspiration. It's a force that naturally exposes darkness wherever you go. People who are comfortable in deception or moral ambiguity often find your presence unsettling, not because of anything you say or do, but because your light reveals the truth they'd rather keep hidden. In John 1:5, we read, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." This verse reminds us that light and darkness cannot coexist. When you step into a room, the spiritual atmosphere shifts. The things people try to conceal, selfishness, manipulation, or dishonesty, are brought into the open, not because you accuse them, but because your very existence reflects God's truth. This phenomenon isn't limited to physical spaces. Your light has a ripple effect in the spiritual realm. In the Bible, the apostles carried this same light after Yeshua's ascension. When Peter's shadow healed the sick, Acts 5:15, it wasn't about his physical presence, but the divine authority he carried. Your light, too, has this kind of power. It convicts, heals, and transforms, even when you aren't actively speaking or acting. However, this light also makes you a target. Darkness resists exposure, and those who benefit from it may feel threatened by your presence. This resistance can manifest as criticism, isolation, or even direct opposition. It's important to remember that these reactions aren't personal. They're spiritual. The enemy uses people's fear and insecurity to try to dim your light, but he cannot succeed unless you let him. Your light is also a call to action. In Matthew 5:14-16, Yeshua said, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." This isn't just encouragement, it's a mandate. Your light is meant to shine boldly, even when it's uncomfortable. As you continue walking in your calling, let your light expose darkness with grace and humility. In the next chapter, we'll explore how Yeshua's righteousness serves as a guide for your path, ensuring your actions align with God's will. Walking in righteousness isn't about being perfect. It's about staying aligned with God's will, just as Yeshua did. His life serves as the ultimate example of what it means to live righteously, even when the world around you resists. For chosen ones, this alignment is critical, as your mission to deliver justice must be rooted in the same righteousness that guided Yeshua. Yeshua's righteousness was evident in his priorities. He consistently sought time alone with the Father, praying and seeking divine direction before making decisions. In Luke 5:16, we see that Jesus often withdrew to lonely places and prayed. This habit wasn't about avoiding people, it was about staying spiritually grounded. As a chosen one, your ability to carry out your mission depends on maintaining this connection with God. Without it, even the best intentions can lead to missteps. Righteousness also shaped Yeshua's interactions with others. He treated people with love and fairness, regardless of their status or background. From dining with tax collectors to healing the outcast, Yeshua demonstrated that righteousness isn't about self-righteousness. It's about reflecting God's heart for humanity. When you stand for justice, it's important to remember this balance. Justice without love can become harsh, but love without justice lacks power. Another key aspect of Yeshua's righteousness was his obedience. In John 8:29, he said, "I always do what pleases him," referring to the Father. This obedience wasn't about blind submission, it was about trust. Yeshua understood that the Father's plans were greater than his own understanding, even when those plans led to the cross. Your calling will also require trust and obedience, especially when the path isn't clear or easy. Righteousness doesn't mean you won't face opposition. In fact, Yeshua's commitment to righteousness often placed him in conflict with the religious leaders of his time. They accused him, plotted against him, and ultimately crucified him. Yet, his unwavering alignment with the Father's will ensured that his mission was fulfilled. As you reflect on Yeshua's example, ask yourself, how can his righteousness shape your actions, decisions, and relationships? In the next chapter, we'll examine why people fear what they cannot control, and how this fear often manifests in their reactions to you as a chosen one. One of the greatest sources of fear in others is their inability to control you. As a chosen one, your independence, spiritual strength, and unshakable faith make you a mystery to those who thrive on manipulation or domination. People fear what they cannot understand, but even more so, they fear what they cannot influence. This fear isn't always overt. It often manifests as subtle hostility, dismissiveness, or attempts to undermine your confidence. You may notice people testing your boundaries, questioning your decisions, or gossiping behind your back. These reactions stem from an innate discomfort with your inability to be swayed by worldly pressures. Your strength challenges their insecurities and forces them to confront their own lack of control. The Bible provides a powerful example of this dynamic in the story of Daniel. When Daniel's peers realized they couldn't find fault in his character, they targeted his faith, convincing King Darius to issue a decree prohibiting prayer to anyone but the king. Daniel's refusal to comply, his decision to continue praying to God despite the consequences, revealed his unwavering commitment to righteousness. This act of defiance not only led to God's miraculous protection in the lion's den, but also exposed the corrupt intentions of his accusers. Daniel 6. Your unshakable faith and moral clarity may make others feel threatened, just as Daniel's did. They may perceive your ability to resist worldly temptations as arrogance or defiance, when in reality, it's simply a reflection of your alignment with God's will. This fear isn't about you personally. It's about what you represent. You are a living testament to the power of walking in truth, and that truth disrupts the illusions others cling to. However, this fear can also serve a higher purpose. By remaining steadfast in your calling, you can inspire others to confront their own fears and seek God's guidance. Not everyone will react with hostility. Some may be drawn to your light, curious about the source of your strength. In the next chapter, we'll explore how Yeshua demonstrated authority over injustice, showing us how to confront fear with grace and conviction. Yeshua's life is a masterclass in how to confront injustice with authority, grace, and divine alignment. Throughout his ministry, he fearlessly challenged corruption, oppression, and hypocrisy, often in ways that left his critics speechless. His authority wasn't derived from worldly power, but from his connection to the Father, a connection that gave him the confidence to stand firm, even in the face of overwhelming opposition. One of the most striking examples of Yeshua's authority over injustice is found in his confrontation with the Pharisees and teachers of the law. These religious leaders prided themselves on their outward displays of piety while neglecting the deeper matters of the heart. In Matthew 23, Yeshua boldly called them out, saying, "Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence." This wasn't merely a rebuke, it was an invitation to repentance, a call to align their actions with the truth they claimed to uphold. Yeshua's authority also extended to his ability to restore what injustice had taken. When he healed the man born blind, John 9, he didn't just address the physical ailment, he restored the man's dignity in a society that had judged him as cursed. This act of healing was a direct challenge to the unjust belief systems of the time, showing that God's justice is rooted in restoration and love, not condemnation. What's remarkable about Yeshua's authority is how he balanced boldness with humility. He never sought to dominate or humiliate his opponents, even when he overturned the tables of the money changers in the temple. His actions were driven by a desire to restore the sanctity of God's house, not to assert his own power. This balance is crucial for chosen ones, who are often placed in positions where their authority is tested. Yeshua's authority came from his alignment with the Father. In John 5:19, he said, "The Son can do nothing by himself. He can do only what he sees his Father doing." This dependence on God's will is what gave Yeshua the strength to confront injustice without fear. As a chosen one, your authority comes from the same source. By staying connected to God through prayer, scripture, and obedience, you can confront injustice with the same confidence and grace. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to turn the fear and opposition you face into a driving force for fulfilling your divine purpose. Fear, whether directed at you or felt within yourself, can be a powerful catalyst for transformation. As a chosen one, you often find yourself on the receiving end of others' fear. Fear of your light, your truth, and your divine authority. But fear doesn't have to be an obstacle. It can be a tool that drives you closer to your purpose. When people fear you, it's often because you remind them of something they've been avoiding: accountability, authenticity, or a confrontation with their own inadequacies. This fear can manifest in many ways: rejection, criticism, or even outright hostility. However, instead of internalizing this as a personal attack, consider it as confirmation of your purpose. Fear is often a sign that you're walking in alignment with your divine calling, shaking the foundations of spiritual complacency around you. Consider the story of Nehemiah. When he set out to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem, he faced intense opposition from Sanballat, Tobiah, and others who feared the change he was bringing. Despite their attempts to intimidate and sabotage him, Nehemiah pressed on, saying, "I am doing a great work and cannot come down." Nehemiah 6:3. His unwavering focus turned fear into fuel, propelling him toward his mission. Turning fear into purpose begins with perspective. Instead of seeing opposition as a barrier, recognize it as a marker of significance. If you weren't making an impact, there would be no resistance. The enemy doesn't waste energy attacking what isn't a threat. Your ability to persist in the face of fear is a testament to your divine strength and resilience. Yeshua provides the ultimate example of turning fear into purpose. In the Garden of Gethsemane, he felt the weight of his mission and the human emotion of fear. Yet he prayed, "Not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. This act of surrender turned fear into the ultimate act of obedience, paving the way for salvation. When you embrace fear as part of your journey, you strip it of its power. It no longer becomes something to avoid, but a signal that you're moving in the right direction. In the next chapter, we'll discuss how to walk boldly in your mission of justice, equipped with the divine authority that fear cannot overcome. Boldness is a defining trait of the chosen. You weren't called to tiptoe through life or compromise your purpose to make others comfortable. Your mission of justice requires courage, conviction, and an unwavering commitment to truth, even when the path is fraught with challenges. Walking boldly doesn't mean acting recklessly. It means stepping forward in faith, knowing that God has already equipped you for the task. In Joshua 1:9, God commands, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." This promise applies to you as well. When you walk in alignment with His will, you are never alone, no matter how daunting the mission may seem. Boldness is particularly necessary in a world resistant to change. Justice is often met with opposition because it disrupts the status quo. Consider the prophet Elijah, who stood boldly against King Ahab and the prophets of Baal. In 1 Kings 18, Elijah called upon God to send fire from heaven, proving that the God of Israel was the true God. His boldness wasn't rooted in arrogance, but in an unshakable faith in God's power and purpose. As a chosen one, your boldness should stem from the same source: faith. This faith allows you to stand firm, even when others doubt, mock, or resist you. It gives you the strength to speak truth to power, challenge systems of injustice, and advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. Yeshua modeled this boldness throughout his ministry. Whether he was flipping tables in the temple or confronting religious leaders, his actions were guided by a higher purpose. His boldness wasn't about self-promotion, but about fulfilling his divine mission. As his follower, you carry that same authority. In John 14:12, Yeshua says, "Whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these." This is a call to action, a reminder that boldness is part of your spiritual inheritance. Walking boldly in your mission of justice means embracing the unique role God has given you. It means speaking up when others remain silent, acting when others hesitate, and trusting that God's plan is bigger than any opposition you may face. In the final chapter, we'll tie everything together, exploring how your journey as a chosen one prepares you for the ultimate fulfillment of your purpose. Your journey as a chosen one is not random or accidental. It has been intricately designed by God to prepare you for a divine purpose. Everything you've experienced, from the challenges to the victories, has been shaping you into the person you need to be to carry out this mission. Fulfilling your purpose is not about perfection, but about alignment with God's will and walking boldly in the authority He has given you. One of the most profound examples of purpose fulfilled is the story of Joseph. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused and imprisoned, Joseph endured unimaginable hardships. Yet, through it all, he remained faithful to God. In Genesis 50:20, Joseph tells his brothers, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." His journey wasn't just about his personal growth. It was about fulfilling a purpose far greater than himself. Like Joseph, you have likely faced trials that felt unfair or overwhelming. But these trials were not designed to break you. They were designed to refine you. They prepared you to step into your role as a vessel of justice, a beacon of light and a force for restoration in a broken world. Fulfilling your purpose also requires unwavering trust in God's timing. There may be moments when the path feels unclear or when you doubt your own abilities. In these times, remember the words of Proverbs 3:5-6. "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." Trusting God means surrendering your need to control and allowing Him to guide your steps. Your purpose isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. As a chosen one, your very presence carries spiritual authority and shifts atmospheres. You are called to bring balance where there is chaos, light where there is darkness, and justice where there is oppression. This is no small task, but it is one you were uniquely designed to fulfill. As you move forward, know that your journey is far from over. Each step you take brings you closer to the full realization of your calling. The world may not always understand or appreciate your mission, but heaven does. You are here for a reason, and that reason is greater than you can imagine. Stay the course, remain faithful, and let God's purpose unfold in His perfect time.
Chosen ones, if you enjoy our videos and would like to support our channel, feel free to buy us a coffee. The link will be in the description below. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.